Well, hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of the Get Happy podcast with me. Yes, it's me again. I know. Rudrani Devi. Howdy. Let's do this. And today, y'all, I am so thrilled to have a very dear friend and another amazing healer with me on the podcast today, Miss Debe Sullivan. Hi, Debbie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited as well.
Yes. So you guys, I did this with another guest. Originally, when I created this podcast, it's this book's fault right here, the one, Choosing Happiness. So that's what birthed the podcast. And initially, it was to interview other CFs, certified facilitators like myself, with access consciousness. But then I got to thinking, I'd like to step out of the box just a bit. So Debbie is one of my out-of-the-box guests. She's not a certified facilitator of access. She is very familiar with access consciousness, and she's got her own thing going. So without further ado, Miss Sullivan, would you please tell our listeners a little bit about you, what you do, all the things?
Absolutely. I'm Debe Sullivan. I am in Western Kentucky in beautiful Paducah. I am the owner of Mindful Living. I have been here for 7 years. I offer hypnosis, I offer Havening technique. I work with trauma tapping, access consciousness. I study shamanism. I use light language. I use swords of light with my clients. Basically, what I do is ask to be the biggest contribution that I can be for you at that time. And then I listen to my intuitive guidance to know what that is and just proceed from there.
I love it. So when someone comes to Mindful Living, somebody you've never met before, how do you know where to go with them?
Well, we sit down and we have a conversation, and I listen for clues and I listen for guidance. And I just ask, which tool do I have that would be the biggest contribution for them on that day?
Mm-hmm. Very good. So you talk to their body.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite things in the world to do, is to talk to bodies. And it's funny. Have you noticed sometimes, Debbie, I don't know if this is your experience, that you'll be talking to the person, the being inside the body, and they're saying one thing and their body's saying something totally different.
Absolutely.
So how do you handle something like that when it comes up?
Sometimes they don't even notice that they're doing it. So you'll catch that they have a phrase or they have a word that they use more than once. You said that word 3 times now. So tell me about that word. What does it mean to you? And that can take them into a deeper story that they weren't even thinking about, or it wasn't on their awareness level yet. So it's a little bit of a search sometimes.
I remember getting facilitated from you with I think you had just, was it Havening?
Havening, yes. Havening technique.
And it was so gentle. Can you tell, I don't know, I'd never heard of it before. So I'm sure there's several people out there that might be interested. So what does that entail?
Havening can be used for just about anything. It's excellent for people who are suffering from PTSD. And these days, that's pretty much everybody. Havening. It's very simple touch. You can start from the top of the shoulders and go down the arms, just with enough touch to be a gentle hug, comfort. You can massage your face. You can do your hands. I like to do the tops of my legs. So while you're doing this touch, you just close your eyes and you can distract yourself with whatever you would like to. And this is self-havening. So what affirmation would you need today? What do you need today? I am powerful. I am strong. I am worthy. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am strong. Whatever it is you need that day.
As the words are coming out of your mouth and I'm havening myself, I can actually perceive my body getting excited for being acknowledged.
Absolutely. And if you do this, 5-10 minutes a day, think how you would feel starting your day out this way.
Mm.
So not only are you connected to your body, but you're acknowledging the things that you're not feeling quite sure about that day, or if you're not feeling connected that day. It's a good way to get yourself grounded.
Yeah. I love that. I remember we did the session, I think it was like right before I was driving back to Nashville where I reside. And I just felt so calm. It almost set the temperature of my drive home. And it felt as though I got home in minutes instead of hours, because it's about a 3-hour drive.
2 hours.
2 hours. I don't remember. It's been so long since I visited.
Right.
We have to change that. And as you guys probably know, you listening in the future now or in the future, we're in the middle of this thing they call the pandemic. And it's, well, it's mid-September of 2021, and we're still not out of it. It's still happening. So I used to go to Paducah, Kentucky, I don't know, at least twice a year to facilitate classes and at Mindful Living. And we always had so much fun. If you guys have never been to Paducah, Kentucky, and you have an opportunity to get there, do yourselves a favor and get there. It's a charming little town that I had no clue about until Mindful Living. And in fact, you're the reason why I even know about Paducah, Kentucky. So I know you have an access story and I'm kind of part of it. Sort of segueing into that, I guess, with that little story. But how did you discover access and all those things where
Well,
we
we
got to know each other? Yeah.
Yes, we have a mutual friend that introduced me to Access and to Rudrani. And that was the first time that you came here. And I believe that was about 6 years ago.
Gosh. Wow.
And then the next year, I went to Nashville and took the foundation class. That blew me away. I had no idea how many judgments and rules and triggers I had. And in fact, when I left that class, I said, I am never going back there. I am never.
So you guys, when we first met, I came to teach a bars class, I believe, which is the very first class you would take in Access. It's 32 points in the head. Some of you have heard me talk about this. You touch in different groupings and it gets rid of, or kind of, it's like a delete button for your thoughts, feelings, and emotions that have been keeping you stuck. And you're not even aware of these. And so after a bar session, what you might notice is the same thing with a havening, where you just feel completely relaxed. It's like the best massage you ever had with your clothes on. So foundation is the first step in Access, but you have the first big class, I guess. And it's about shaking the foundation of everything you think is real and true for you. Because what if everything that you've been taught is actually the opposite of what it appears to be? It's kind of a crazy way to go. And that's how it was for me as well. Except for instead of wanting to run away and stay as far away as possible, I dove in like head first, because it was just, I had this knowing that things could be greater. And that's what this class was about, So here comes Debbie to Nashville. And I was hosting at the time. I wasn't a certified facilitator, but I was hosting. I don't even remember who your facilitator, what was it? Was it Sarah the first time? I guess so. So 4 days, and I kept wondering if she was going to come back, because her face said it all. It was like, Sarah would say something in the book, or, we'd have questions, and it's 4 days. I mean, it's pretty intense. We had to run each other's bars every day just to dump some more points of view that were limiting us. But, and it was a pretty big class too. There was like, I don't know, 8 or 10 of us taking it. So, okay. So you were saying, I'm never going back there again. We both know that's not true. That it's not the way it happened. So what changed your mind, or was there an aha moment, or?
Well, the next time you offered the foundation class, I signed up right away. And I remember I had a friend saying, what are you doing? You said you were never going back there. And I was like, I don't know. I just know I have to go.
Wow.
And so every time I got lighter and lighter and lighter and just dropped a lot of the judgments and especially the thoughts and feelings and that other people had put on us from the time that we're growing up.
Mhm.
A lot of that. So I'm really grateful that I found access in you, and it changed a lot of things.
It will, if you're willing, you guys. All you got to do is choose. So, what's one of your favorite tools that have access? What did you glom onto immediately? I know for me, it was interesting point of view, because I didn't realize how many points of view, because a point of view is a judgment, y'all. Even if it's a compliment, it's still a judgment. Not that necessarily that it's a judgeable offense, but do you realize how many points of view you have in your world? And a lot of us, like for me, I was like, well, if I give up my points of view, then who am I going to be? So that was kind of the tool that I went to, access, which is basically, you guys, every point of view. If you can look at every one of your points of view as an interesting point of view, instead of making it significant, you can kind of get yourself out of that stuckness and really look at it for what it truly be. So what was a tool that really spoke to you in that foundation class?
Well, the tool that I use the most, that's popping for me right now, is who does this belong to? And as a sensitive and as someone who works with people, other people all the time, especially now in the time that we're in, who does this belong to is very powerful.
Give me an example of how you would use that tool.
Um, well, a thought popping in your head that is not yours. A pain coming into your body that just comes out of nowhere, and you don't know if it's yours or not, but by asking questions, who does this belong to, you can actually facilitate for yourself to remove that pain, that energy that's residing in your body at the moment.
True story, you guys. I, for a very long time, would get pains in my hands and wrists. And I was like, what is this? I mean, which isn't really a question, I guess. I was like, I don't understand, what's going on here? Because I use my hands a lot in my healing practice. And then one day my mom calls and she says, is there anything you can do about my arthritis? It's just really, and she had really been going through it. There had been a lot going on with guests at her house. And when she gets her hands wet, washing dishes, that kind of thing, it exacerbates the pain. And so I was picking up on it, and my body, as you know, we're these natural born healers, and your body sometimes will just go into whatever's going on in their world without you even knowing about it. So I had to do a deal and deliver with my body and go, hey, even if it is Celeste, well, I know we love her. It doesn't help me to take the pain. So who does this belong to is excellent, for they know, is this mine? Someone else's, something else's. And sometimes the pain can be Mother Earth wanting facilitation, which I love, because immediately you contribute to her and it's reciprocated, Mm-hmm. So that brings up another tool, though. Who does this belong to? So it's not yours. Return to sender with loving kindness,
Absolutely.
And it's as simple as that.
Well, and I feel that a lot of people now are feeling the collective energy, of the state of consciousness of the world right now. And so to be a contribution to that, how does it get any better than that?
Yeah.
Give back to the world and to Mother Earth all at the same time.
It's interesting because we just had, and I find it funny that we call it this in the US, the 20th anniversary. I mean, usually when you think of an anniversary, this is something to celebrate. The 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers in New York. And I was taking a choice of possibilities class with Simone Milasas online. And I kept feeling really sick. I was like, I wanted to throw up. And I kept saying, who does this belong to? Return to sender. I knew it wasn't mine, but it was coming like gangbusters. And it wasn't until later that I realized that there were a lot of disembodied beings that also had PTSD, that experienced that. And here's this big celebration of the 20 years or whatever you want to call it. and it's just tearing up people's worlds. And it wasn't until I realized that, and I love this tool also. And what I did is I connected to all those people that had lost their lives, to all the people that had lost someone that were still here. I mean, some of these were like babies that never even met their parent, or, the firefighters. I think there were several of them that they all had infants during this time. But I connected to everyone, and I ran a tool that I love to use called Exit Stage Left, which it gives the person or the animal, usually I'm running it on animals that are injured, permission to heal or die quickly. And you run it on the soles of the feet, but you can also lean into the energy of it with intention to run Exit Stage Left. And it's a pretty amazing tool. All of a sudden, my world just lightened, because all of a sudden, they all had this awareness. Oh, either I don't have a body and I can go on, or I do have a body and I do want to live, and I don't want to suffer from this PTSD. And it's like, even with my mother, when she doesn't feel good, I'll run Exit Stage Left on her. People are like, why would you do that? And I said, because I'm giving her, I know she doesn't want to die. I'm giving her permission to heal quickly. Hey, what else is possible here? And how does it get any better? So, well, let's step outside of Access for a minute, because I know that you do a lot of things. And I'm curious if you want to share another modality that's outside the box.
Sure. I also work with Swords of Light, and these are created by a man named Tom Leader, and they are selenite swords, and each one has a different capstone on the end, and then in the handle of them there are thousands of crystals, and there are sacred waters from all over the world.
Oh, wow.
And
now, I know that those of you listening on Spotify or, Apple can't see what we're looking at. So can you describe what it is you're holding, and maybe go to YouTube so you can see if you're really curious?
Okay. They're made of selenite, and selenite is it's a softer stone, and these have been etched with the flower of life on them. And 2 of these are wrapped in gold leather on the handle. This one has a Super 7 stone on it, which is a darker color. This one has a rather large bumblebee jasper.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, you guys are going to go to YouTube so you can see what we're talking about, because it's kind of hard to describe how magnificent they are. So how did you use these?
These are quite beautiful. I use them for clearing mostly throughout all the chakras, activating, balancing, setting up the proper spins, clearing all negative everything, and setting up the divine design.
So how do you know when it's time to do this particular modality? Does someone come in and they have something on them, or I know you ask questions.
It's good for everybody. I did mine before we started today. So this is I regularly practice, and yes, it's a gift to whoever receives. So
I also know that you do hypnotism, right?
I work with hypnosis, yes. Fear of flying, stopping smoking, past life regression. Hypnosis can be a contribution to just about anything that you're working on. I have lots of stories about hypnosis.
What's one of your juicy ones? I'm curious. Can anybody be hypnotized? It's like, I always wonder, sometimes I think we've all been hypnotized by this reality. So I'm just curious.
Most people say that. They say, oh, I don't think you can hypnotize me. But what I'm working with is a very light trance. So my goal is to get you in a relaxed state so that we can work with your subconscious. The story that's popping in my head is a young woman that had a lot of trouble with her throat. She had trouble swallowing, and she had been to the doctor. She had done all the things. She had her throat stretched. They could not figure out what was happening with her. Once in hypnosis, immediately we went to a lifetime where she was being strangled. And once we worked with that situation and worked on having conversation between those two people and forgiveness in that situation, the issues with the throat stopped immediately.
Did she die from that act in that lifetime?
We don't know. We didn't go that far.
Got it. Huh.
There's,
wow.
Yes. Any situation that's going on in this lifetime that you don't have an answer for, you may be able to resolve in hypnosis.
And again, I imagine it's just talking to their body.
It's talking to their body. Yes.
This could be a contribution. Can this actually change their world? Have you ever worked on a family member with hypnosis?
Yes.
And you were able to get the same results?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool. Wow.
That's not all my family members, because some of them are like, no.
Right. Don't touch me. Could you do something like that over Zoom? I'm just curious.
Absolutely. All of this work can be done long distance. All of it.
So we'll have to make sure to have all your information. I'll make sure that it's all listed so you guys can find Miss Debe Sullivan, whether you go to Paducah, Kentucky or not.
We know where energy can go anywhere. We can travel.
Yeah, it's sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say another thing I work with is light language. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with that, but sometimes when working with a client, as well as information coming through, sounds and tones and language that we may or may not understand can come through. And I can voice a little of that if you would like.
Sure. So how would it come up, and then show us what it would be?
Okay. I'm just going to close my eyes for a second. Tio koshi na ko na makoye na kai na koshi na kai matete. Visna mokoye na kai. Olikole na mositoshi na kai. Isna kai otakoshni amadai koletoshi adai.
So my body responded, like with little tingles all over. And is it mainly the energy that you are? Explain how you can do that, or how that shows up for you. I know that might be a little difficult to do, but I'm just curious, because it's definitely energy, because my body responded without even knowing what it was.
It is definitely energy. And it runs through my body, and it'll come. I don't always know when it's going to come, but I feel it. And now a lot of times it'll come through in song, and it's this pressure. And if you don't voice it, it gets louder.
So is it kind of like channeling?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. When did you know that you had this capacity?
This has probably been about 5 or 6 years ago as well. And it was through an activation in a light language class that this started happening.
That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And a lot of times when working with a client, they'll ask me what it means, and I can give them an energetic sense of what I feel that it means, but it's for them. The message is for them. That is their energy. And so I felt like what I just spoke was more of a welcoming intro to this energy.
That's so cool. Yeah, because my body was like, oh, yeah, hello. I like that. I'm waking up. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of like the dog wagging the tail, or the tail wagging the dog. That's more appropriate, because my body got excited, but it really didn't know what to do with it. It just expanded. Mm-hmm. So you answered my question before I even asked it, which was, what did you say? what was that about?
Mhm.
That's kind of like, hello, you guys. Welcome to this possibility.
It's always beautiful and it's always perfect.
I love it. So with the shutdown, how's Mindful been holding up? Have you been having classes or you've been moving things online? What's been going on in your world?
We have, or I have been, it's been the busiest summer
Oh,
ever.
surprise.
For the private sessions, not so much for classes. People have not been feeling whatever to gather.
Mhm.
So we've tried that a little bit and it wasn't very successful. So I definitely work online, like working online. It can be just as powerful. So we're just continuing on.
You know, it's been interesting because when the shutdown initially happened, I was teaching a foundation class online every month. I had scheduled to be on several different places in the world. I had scheduled to be with you in Paducah. And so I ended up teaching all these classes online. I didn't know I had that muscle. It was exciting for me because I would have somebody from Budapest and somebody from Australia and somebody from, I don't know, Brazil, all in the same classroom, which is not something I had been able to do in the past. I would have to go to Brazil to teach a class, which, you know, I did Right Voice for You there. And it's exciting to have that energy as well. But I guess the gift of COVID is I've met so many people that I would have never met otherwise. Unfortunately, I did not get to travel the world to teach those classes. And initially, nobody was coming to me in person, which was interesting also. So I was facilitating a lot on Zoom, as I imagine you've been doing as well. But then kind of in the middle, when everybody relaxed a little bit and, you know, my classes, my in-person classes got big again. And I had all of a sudden, I had this bars class with 16 people in it. And I had to take the cars out of the garage and set up massage tables to make it work. And now we're sort of hedging back the other way, I noticed, because I went out yesterday for an out call. And I have some people that aren't even comfortable leaving their homes. So I'm going to their homes with a massage table. And I went to the grocery store afterwards and they had the mask mandate back in place again. I thought, well, ebbs and flows. But the difference was, and this is, I guess, another gift of COVID, is I didn't react like I did when we first went into lockdown, where I was like, oh, this is so weird. And people weren't making eye contact and stuff. Now we're all smiling whether we're wearing masks or not. It's almost like, if you can call it the new normal for now anyway. What has it been like for you that way? I mean, I know what a social animal you are, you and your husband. You're like, you know, if I could pick a couple to represent Paducah, Kentucky, it would be Debbie and Hal Sullivan. It would be. Everybody knows who they are. He's an amazing being. He's also taken the bars class, and I imagine you guys run bars on each other occasionally, you know, all of that. But so how has it been in, you know, this COVID time? Has it been a blessing and a curse, or what have you noticed?
It's blessing and a curse. And I kind of laugh and say, well, we should be better at it this time because we've already done this once.
Sorry. Or at least we're more relaxed, you know?
Right. Those things that you said, well, I should have got that done when we were shut down last year, and I didn't. So this time we're not freaking out so much, so we can get all those things done that we said we wanted to get done. But he and I, we've just taken advantage of being outside. If we're not on the bikes, we're hiking, just being outside.
Oh, I love that. Mother Earth is the number one healer, isn't she?
Absolutely, that's the best advice that I can give, is to be outside and let your voice speak for you. Make sounds, blow bubbles, find a swing. Excuse me. Whatever you need to do to find your child. Have some fun.
You know, everybody should be subscribed to your Instagram account, because you post some of the most beautiful nature photos. I don't think to take pictures when I'm outside, not very often, unless it's something pulling me, like recently the hummingbirds have been out in full force again. So I probably have like 30 hummingbird videos because they're just such amazing creatures. And I had no idea that how many varieties they are. And you guys, it was like I didn't know they made sounds. They have languages. And I got so interested that I actually found a documentary, and those things are territorial and mean.
They are, but they remind us to remember the sweetness of life as well. They are all about the sugar water.
That's true. You have like several hummingbird feeders I remembered on your deck. And I can recall seeing, I don't know, 15 or 20 of them at a time just swarming. And I was amazed at how they all took turns, kind of, with the feeders, because mine are not doing that. They're like, get away. This is my feeder. It's funny. It's funny to watch. Mm-hmm. So yes, nature. So if you were going to leave our listeners with something, or actually, let me ask this question first. Do you have any classes or anything coming up that we need to know about?
Unfortunately, not during that.
Okay.
Not until 2022 and see how that feels. But thank you for bringing up the Instagram page. That's Ambassador to the Spirit. And the messages that go along with those pictures are channeled messages that I've received.
Oh,
I love sharing that.
That's why I'm getting pulled in, because I always find your Instagram posts, and I don't follow a lot of people. I mean, I know I follow you, but I think I must see every post. Somehow I get pulled in. So yeah. So by all means, none of you go and seek that out, but I'll make sure I have it written down here as well. And so, I could talk to you forever. A month will go by, y'all, and then we'll get on the phone. It's like that. So I'm having to hold back a little bit here because I want people to know who you are. And I know you said nature, but if there was something else you would want to leave with our listeners, viewers now and in the future, what would that be?
To remember that everything that you require is within you. And to just take a few moments each day. And a good practice would be to place your hands on your high heart. Take notice of that silence. And then to go into a place of gratitude. And allow that to sweep over you.
Your voice is so soothing. Maybe you should do books on tape. Oh, they don't do tape anymore, do they? Books on MP3.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for everything that you've shared today. I look forward to being able to squeeze your juicy body one of these days. I don't know. I mean, you're just down the road. So how could we make that happen with ease, So,
absolutely. Let's work on that.
Let's definitely work on that. And you guys, if you liked this conversation, please click the like button, subscribe if you know anyone that you think could be interested in what we had to say. Maybe share it with them. And if there's something you want to know about, please leave some comments because I read all of them. So there you have it. And, I did forget one last thing. I'm so sorry. Although I pretty much think you already answered it. How do you get your happy on? Is there something that you do for yourself to get your happy on? You're like cranky pants mood. And this isn't just for Debbie. Y'all think about it as well. Is there like something that just like a fail safe? You're like, I'm grumpy. I'm going to go get ice cream, or what is it?
Usually music.
Like singing along?
Singing along or listening to Hertz music.
Hertz music.
Hertz music is recorded at different vibrations. And so there's a vibration for whatever you need that day. So if you're needing to feel happy or you're needing to feel relaxed, there's lots of it on YouTube. Just Google it. Hertz music.
I just learned something new, y'all.
Very helpful.
So that's your assignment for today, you guys. Go find you some Hertz music and get your happy on, or, or your relaxation on. Because, when you're relaxing, you're actually being you. Isn't that joyful for you and your body? I know it is for me. So we'll leave them with that then. Thank you again for being my excellent guest, my excellent friend. I adore you.
I adore you. Thank you.
And until next time, you guys, ciao, ciao for now.